Chapter 1. Looking at my daughter's bloated corpse, I found myself unable to cry anymore. Just 3 days ago, my husband and mother-in-law had a sudden idea to take our 4-year-old daughter to the beach. Since I had to work overtime, I agreed, hoping to give her a joyful birthday celebration. Even though the weather had already turned cool, making swimming unsuitable. I never anticipated returning from work to hear the devastating news that my daughter was missing. "Jack, when are you bringing my grandson back?" "Mom, keep your voice down. This isn't the time." The morgue was eerily silent, and my keen ears caught snippets of my mother-in-law and husband's conversation outside. My heart sank, and all the previously overlooked details rushed back into my mind. While I was engulfed in sorrow, the true culprits behind my daughter's passing swiftly moved on from their pain. My mother-in-law merrily went off to her daily square dance, and my husband continued to work late into the night, never returning home. 6 months after my daughter's death, I attacked my mother-in-law, who always favored boys over girls, and stormed into my husband's workplace, brandishing a knife. I was hysterical, wanting us both to perish together. It turned out he hadn't just betrayed me, he had deliberately abandoned our daughter by the sea. I failed to avenge her, and my husband sent me to a mental hospital instead. With feigned reluctance and sorrow, he watched as I was taken away, his eyes brimming with fake compassion. His insincerity only drove me deeper into madness. Surrounded by relatives, friends, and colleagues comforting him, no one bothered to ask why I had lost my mind. No one believed my side of the story. When Jack, holding a beautiful woman in one arm and a little boy in the other, arrogantly demanded I sign the divorce papers, I knew I had lost everything. If I refused to sign, I, an orphan with no support, would remain trapped in the mental hospital indefinitely. On the night I was discharged, just as I was beginning to gather evidence, I was hit by a car and died, full of regrets. Fate had other plans, and I found myself reborn on the day I discovered I was pregnant. "Really? Honey, you're pregnant. That's wonderful," my husband exclaimed, lifting me and spinning me around in joy. True to form, he posted the news on social media. "My wife is pregnant. I hope for a little sweetheart, but she doesn't seem too happy. It doesn't matter whether it's a boy or girl. At Mary, you'll always be my beloved wife." He tagged me, maintaining the facade of a loving husband. Unsurprisingly, his post was inundated with congratulations and likes. Everyone praised him as a model modern man, commending him for his lack of preference for sons over daughters. Who would have thought this man, much like my mother-in-law, was deeply entrenched in feudal beliefs? In their hearts, they prioritized sons, believing a woman who couldn't bear a son wasn't truly a woman. Previously, he had given me the cold shoulder for not having a child 3 years into our marriage. Over the years, he often blocked me from viewing his posts, only allowing me to see them when he needed my cooperation. In my past life, I had foolishly remained in the dark until the very end, when I discovered Jack's hypocrisy and deceit. I watched him intently as he fiddled with his phone, barely able to suppress the urge to tear him apart. I decided to respond to his post. "Honey, don't say that. I love having daughters the most. We worked in the same building and shared many mutual friends." Jack glanced up at me, laughing off my comment. Chapter 2. After learning about my pregnancy, my mother-in-law stopped mocking me as a barren hen. In her most arrogant moments, she even bought a hen and kept it on our balcony, neglecting it while cursing it for not laying eggs. My temper had become increasingly volatile since then. I had transformed from a gentle woman before marriage into a shrew. All thanks to that old hag. Now, she treated me with newfound attentiveness, unaware that I was carrying a girl and that Jack's mistress hadn't conceived. Moreover, I had inherited a substantial fortune from my deceased parents. Thanks to my family's money, the impoverished Jack could focus on his civil service exams, relying solely on me to support the family. 2 years before my death, he finally passed the exams, regaining his male pride and thriving. Jack was a master at crafting personas, filial, family-oriented, a loving husband, a good man. Now, he was playing the role of a doting husband. When his true nature was concealed, he was flawless in his care for me. I created a new account, selecting an avatar he liked, stealing a photo of a wealthy beauty, and found an opportunity to add Jack. I pretended to be affectionate while watching his deceitful actions unfold behind my back. Over a minor disagreement, my wife argued with my mom and hit me when I tried to mediate. My wife cried, but I know she still loves me. I'm not hurt. Boo-hoo, my wife showed restraint. Jack posted a photo of an ice cream cone overturned in the trash alongside his swollen finger. He blocked me from seeing it. The truth was that I wanted durian and ice cream. The minor disagreement he referred to as my mother-in-law's long-standing desire to control our lives. Having accomplished little in her life, she loved to control us, from what we ate to what we wore, to assert her presence. It started with her forbidding me from eating my favorite foods. Her excuse was that pregnant women couldn't eat certain things, regardless of scientific validity. I had to obey her. In my previous life, she forbade me from eating durian, cherries, lamb, and fish. To save money, she used various superstitions to frighten me, forcing me to eat boiled vegetables, nearly causing malnutrition in early pregnancy. I couldn't argue with her, and my husband, without consulting a doctor, sided with her, both pressuring me to think of their son and grandson. They wouldn't buy me food or even let me go out to buy it myself. I cried in frustration and broke a bowl in anger. I hadn't laid a finger on him, yet he painted me as an unreasonable, hysterical pregnant woman. In my past life, I compromised many times for the sake of family harmony and my unborn child. This time, I wouldn't indulge them. I ordered lamb, fish, and a durian worth hundreds of yuan. When my mother-in-law returned, she exploded with anger. Amid her scolding, I calmly devoured most of the durian. As she saw the durian nearly gone, she sat on the floor and cried. When Jack returned, he immediately sided with his mother, scolding me. I dumped the ice cream on his head. When he pointed at me, calling me crazy, I twisted his finger hard. He screamed and howled in pain. Not so doting now. He and his mother rushed to the hospital like their pants were on fire. Then he posted a misleading update filled with lies on social media. His boohoo post attracted sympathy and criticism for me, along with admiration for him. Don't worry, pregnancy hormones make women emotional. Be patient with her. She's pregnant, she needs to watch her diet. She's too volatile. Jack is such a good man, so calm. He doesn't hit back or talk back, he's not afraid of his wife, he loves her. How can she not appreciate such a good husband? Oh, Jack, does it hurt? I sent a sweet, coquettish voice message from my new account. Jack took the bait, flirting back with me. I glanced at the hidden camera I had set up earlier and smiled. He enjoyed painting me in a bad light, didn't he? It would be delightful to see his expression when I exposed him. Chapter 3. Jack's finger wasn't broken, but he acted like a lord. When he got home, I apologized to him. Neither he nor my mother-in-law showed me any kindness, and Jack even started sleeping in a separate room. The next day, I brought an extravagant takeout box to his workplace to make peace. When I arrived, Jack was whispering with a flamboyantly dressed woman. They quickly separated upon seeing me. The woman was Lily, 2 years older than I, a temporary worker at Jack's office. I had met her once in my previous life. She had mocked me, calling me a mentally ill, resentful woman. She had pressured me to divorce Jack, flaunting her illegitimate child in front of me and taunting me about my deceased daughter. Here she was again in this life. In front of his colleagues, I spoke gently. Honey, I was wrong. You and Mom won't let me eat certain things, even though the doctor said it was okay. But Mom only gives me boiled vegetables, and I'm worried about the baby's nutrition. Can you forgive me? My mom doesn't always give you boiled vegetables, Jack said, his expression twisting for a moment as he quickly denied it. True, she didn't always serve boiled vegetables. Whenever Jack was home, the table was laden with dishes full of chili and cilantro, which I was allergic to and couldn't touch. In my previous life, I had countless arguments with my mother-in-law and husband about this, with my mother-in-law conveniently forgetting every time. After my outbursts, they would act pitiful in front of others. Jack often wrote lengthy posts, while my mother-in-law relentlessly spread rumors about my so-called unreasonable behavior. They would retreat, only to advance again, continuing to torment me until I felt driven to the brink of madness. I misspoke. You and Mom are so good to me, I said, covering my mouth and feigning terror as I lowered my head. I could play the innocent act too. In Jack's narrative, his colleagues and friends believed I was a fierce dragon lady, surprised to find I was quite different in person. His colleagues exchanged knowing glances. Mary, don't scare Jack. He's afraid of kneeling on a washboard at home, haha. One of them joked. Lily, the mistress, laughed, covering her mouth with mockery in her eyes. I shot her a cold stare. How do you know my husband kneels on a washboard? Have you seen it? We don't even have one at home. A young, handsome colleague tried to lighten the mood with a smile. Wow, Mary, what did you bring? We can smell it from here. I smiled back, then an idea sparked. Turning to Lily, I said, Oh, you're the colleague Jack often praises for taking care of him. He speaks very highly of you. You seem a bit older, do you have a boyfriend? Should I introduce you to a young talent? Her smile froze, and Jack quickly intervened, praising my hard work and health as he ushered me out of the office. I left, feeling satisfied. That evening, Jack posted a new update. My wife argued with my mom again. This time, I stayed silent. She beat me up, and I left home for a while. Looking at the heavy rain outside, I regretted it. I should have let her hit me more. After all, I'm tough. Boo-hoo. He included a selfie of himself looking pitiful, drenched under an eave. His post drew more sympathy and concern, solidifying my image as the unreasonable, volatile pregnant woman. Little did they know how different he was in front of me. Chapter 4. When Jack returned home from work, he was in a foul mood, immediately accusing me of causing trouble at his office. My mother-in-law quickly sided with him, seizing the opportunity to criticize me for not eating her food and claiming I was ungrateful for her kindness. However, she conveniently omitted the fact that the food was days-old leftovers from the fridge and that the shrimp she had prepared for me were rotten ones she had salvaged from the market. In my previous life, I had eaten those shrimp, resulting in vomiting and diarrhea. I spent a night on an 4 drip in the hospital and nearly miscarried. Sometimes I wondered if the old woman even wanted a grandchild. Whenever I disobeyed her, she would go to great lengths to make my life miserable. I could no longer tolerate their behavior. Under the watchful eye of the surveillance camera, I loudly confronted my mother-in-law, laying everything bare. Do you even know I'm pregnant? Are you trying to kill me so my husband can remarry? Boo-hoo. As my emotions escalated, I slapped Jack hard enough to almost knock him off balance. My mom meant well. She's my mother. Don't be so dramatic. What's so special about being pregnant? Jack's impatience was evident. In response, I flipped the table. He called me unreasonable and stormed out. I knew he wouldn't be coming back tonight, he would definitely go to Lily's place. In my previous life, I woke up in the hospital, startled by the sound of thunder. My husband, who should have been by my side, was nowhere to be found. My mother-in-law had long since gone home to sleep. Frightened, I called him, only to have a strange woman answer. She sweetly handed the phone to Jack. He didn't comfort me or explain who was with him, he simply stated he was working late and hung up without hesitation. When I called back, his phone was turned off. I could only cry alone in the hospital. This time, I didn't care if he died outside. But I still had to take action. I reached out to Mike, a young colleague from Jack's office, pretending to be anxious as I asked if my husband was still working late. Mary, Jack isn't at the office. I'm working late myself. Did you two have a fight? I saw his post, he's out in the rain. If there's a misunderstanding, you should talk it out. Oh, no. He came home upset. Was something wrong at work? I didn't have an appetite and didn't want to eat. We argued a little, and now I'm not feeling well, and I'm alone. I let my words linger. Mike fell silent, looking awkward but kindly offering to help find Jack. He tagged him in their work group chat. Jack, hurry home. Mary is worried sick. The outcome was predictable. No one but Lily would be able to find him. Chapter 5 The next day, Jack must have seen the messages in the group chat. When he got home, he flew into another rage. I pretended to be shocked, clutching my stomach and staying silent. Jack started giving me the cold shoulder, his silent treatment escalating to the point where he rarely came home, always claiming he was working late. Because I was trying to protect my pregnancy, I didn't have the energy to fight with my mother-in-law or him. I didn't argue or make a fuss. My love for him had completely vanished. Unlike in my previous life, I didn't hysterically beg him to come home. I went to my prenatal checkups alone, cooked for myself, and did everything on my own. I had mixed feelings about the daughter growing inside me. On one hand, I couldn't bear to part with the little girl who had been with me for 4 years in my previous life. On the other hand, I didn't want to have a child with a scumbag. The doctor said my body wasn't suitable for an abortion, and if I terminated the pregnancy, it might be difficult for me to conceive again. So, I decided to keep her. As for my mother-in-law, she would cook for me when she was in a good mood, and when she wasn't, she would go out to play mahjong. She was quite happy to see the discord between me and Jack. Compared to Jack's cold and selfish behavior towards me, he maintained a sunny, kind, and patient image in front of others. New year, new goals. I need to remind myself to work hard so my wife can buy more luxury bags, upgrade her cosmetics and skincare products, and our child can have imported formula, Jack posted, along with a photo of a brand new LV bag and a table full of high-end skincare products. I almost laughed out loud. The bag and skincare products weren't mine. Since getting married, I hadn't bought a single bag. As for cosmetics, most of what I had were cheap brands. As usual, his post was flooded with comments from people envying me, praising him for loving his wife to the core. They said I must have saved the galaxy in my past life to marry such a good-looking and kind man. I sneered. Of course, there were a few skeptical comments mixed in. Last time I saw your wife, she was dressed so plainly. She doesn't seem like someone who likes luxury goods, commented Mike, who had helped me before. You don't understand. Some women have one face in public and another in private, Lily arrogantly replied, thinking I couldn't see her comment. I found Jack's WeChat. Using a secondary account, I emotionlessly wrote, Brother Wei, I want an LV bag and La Mer too. Be good. I'll buy them for you when I get my bonus. Send me a photo first, without clothes. I had been chatting with Jack using this secondary account for over a month, recently agreeing to have a nude video call with him. But I had paid someone to install software, using fake images to deal with him. I sent him a photoshopped picture. Jack then transferred 500 yuan to me. He was generous with his mistresses, but my monthly living allowance was only 1,000 yuan, which had to cover food, clothing, and transportation for the 3 of us. Disgusting. I was about to give birth, so I let Jack continue his antics for a while. I had booked a spot at a postpartum care center and checked into the best hospital in the city a week before my due date. I used the savings my parents had left me. Jack didn't plan to spend a penny on me. He and my mother-in-law wanted me to recover at home, but I could already imagine how she would take care of me. She would torture me just like in my previous life, almost costing me my life. In my previous life, I had followed Jack's advice, saving money for our child's education instead of booking a postpartum care center or checking into the hospital early. As a result, I went into premature labor. The small hospital couldn't handle it, and I had to be transferred to a larger hospital. I had a difficult delivery, and my mother-in-law wouldn't let me have an epidural. I endured the pain of natural childbirth and then had to have a C-section. I barely survived giving birth to my daughter, followed by a painful and torturous postpartum period, leaving me with postpartum complications. This time, I wouldn't repeat the same tragic fate. I wouldn't give them the chance. Chapter 6 My mother-in-law kept nagging me about wasting money, insisting I cancel the postpartum care center. When I refused, she secretly went to the center to cause a scene, demanding a refund. But she didn't get her way. I was unusually clear-headed during labor, having already requested a C-section from the doctor. Anyone who tried to stop me would get a beating. I scratched my mother-in-law's face, punched her in the stomach, and hit Jack in the groin. They finally quieted down. To retaliate for my aggression, and because I had given birth to what my mother-in-law called a money-losing girl, she refused to help me during my postpartum period and ran off. Jack coldly glanced at me and our daughter, took a photo when I wasn't looking, and went back to work. Their actions didn't surprise me at all. But when I saw Jack's latest social media post, my eyes turned red. My dear wife gave birth to a little sweetheart. She's so cute. My wife worked hard. Although she kicked me in her excitement, almost ruining my chance to make her happy, it was worth it. She risked her life. He posted a photo of my exhausted, weak face and our wrinkled newborn daughter, adding a cute emoji. His relatives, friends, and colleagues had nearly 100 likes and comments combined. Congratulations, Brother Way. Have another one, make it a perfect pair. Jack, you worked hard. Your wife seems a bit crazy, kicking you and scratching your mom's face. Among the comments, there was one discordant note. Your wife's complexion doesn't look good. Brother Way, you should take some time off to care for her. I checked the profile picture and saw it was Mike. What woman doesn't give birth? It's nothing. Men should focus on their careers. Lily's comment was venomous, as if she weren't a woman herself. I tightly gripped my phone, resisting the urge to smash it. I had a quiet postpartum period. Jack only came to visit me when he wanted to take photos to maintain his image. I looked at him expressionlessly and suddenly asked, "Why haven't you announced the birth of our child?" I'm not just anyone. I can't post casually. You wouldn't understand. You don't spend time with me. Didn't you book a postpartum care center? 30,000 yuan for 40 days. Do you think making money is easy? He left after saying that. He completely treated my money as his own. Once I had recovered enough, I logged into my secondary account again. I added Lily. I sent her the flirtatious messages between me and Jack and provoked her. Bitch. Brother Way is mine. He loves me the most. Who do you think you are, always clinging to him? Lily snapped. She immediately sent a voice message. You bitch. I've been with him for 2 years. Brother Way is just playing with you. Do you think you're someone important? Look at the things he bought me. Do you have any? He transfers money and buys gifts for me every Valentine's Day and anniversary. We even travel together. She sent photos of LV bags and luxury items. The background was the same as the one in Jack's social media post. Jack and I had been married for 5 years. It seemed he had started his affair with Lily as soon as he settled down. So what? You old hag. Brother Way has long been tired of you. He often says you're loose, old, and your skin has wrinkles. I said and then deleted Lily. My secondary account was set up as a 25-year-old woman with fair skin and good looks. Lily was already 32. A few days later, Jack visibly looked more haggard. Because after I provoked Lily with my secondary account, she went crazy. She forced Jack to secretly take wedding photos with her. She tried every way to re-add me, somehow got my phone number, and smugly taunted me over the phone. Brother Way and I are true love. How can you and that old woman compete with me? I advise you to leave, Brother Way. Look, we look so happy in our photos. I'm pregnant. Her last sentence was the most valuable to me. Chapter 7 In my previous life, Lily got pregnant shortly after I gave birth to my daughter. For some reason, she couldn't keep the baby, but when my daughter was 2, she gave birth to a son. The foolish Lily had handed me the evidence of their affair. I didn't report them yet, it wasn't the right time. In my previous life, Jack and Lily had caused my daughter's death. This time, I wanted them to pay with their lives. I laid out the evidence of Jack's affair with Lily in front of him. Jack, reeking of alcohol and swaying, instantly sobered up. "This is slander. It's fake." He tore up the wedding photos with Lily. I calmly showed him their flirtatious messages and a screenshot of Lily's medical report. Jack's face turned increasingly pale. "You had an affair with a colleague, a mistress. Your lifestyle is problematic. Do you think your workplace will keep you?" I said emotionlessly. "Wife, where did you get this?" Seeing he couldn't hide it, Jack suddenly knelt before me. "Wife, I was wrong. She seduced me. She forced me to take wedding photos with her. Her pregnancy was an accident. Who knows if it's mine? She's trying to pin it on me. She's just a whore. She has unclear relationships with several leaders in our unit. I did it for my career." I wished Lily and his relatives and friends could hear his words. This man was so good at shifting blame. It was both hateful and laughable. "Honey, do you still love me? Our daughter is so young. How could you do this to us?" "Boo-hoo." My daughter started crying from her crib. I soothed her while looking at him with resentment. "Wife, I'll cut ties with that woman. We're a family." To show his loyalty, Jack called Lily in front of me. He not only questioned the paternity of her child, but also told her not to bother him anymore. Ignoring her crying, pleading, and threats, he blocked her. "Wife, if I ever do anything to betray you again, may I die a horrible death." Jack swore, pointing to the light in the living room. I pretended to trust him, but inside, I felt nothing. I even wanted to laugh. This scumbag hadn't even deleted my secondary account. I made Jack write a guarantee letter. He hesitated but eventually did it. I destroyed the evidence of his affair in front of him. But he didn't know I had plenty more evidence. I didn't know how Jack placated Lily in private. Lily quieted down for a while, and Jack's life remained unaffected. I continued to provoke Lily with my secondary account, sending her Jack's insults, calling her a whore, forcing her to turn against Jack. Sure enough, less than a month after our reconciliation, Jack's image as a loving husband began to crumble. Rumors of his infidelity with a colleague spread throughout the unit. The rumors were detailed and believable. Jack begged and bribed people to suppress the scandal. He even dragged me, his legitimate wife, to show off our love. I agreed, smiling and bringing him lunch at work every day. Jack also showed me affection, massaging my shoulders and calling me honey in front of others, feeding them fake dog food. Every time Lily saw me, her eyes were filled with hatred. Jack's image seemed stable. Then Lily resigned. I knew Lily wasn't content to be Jack's mistress forever. Her ambition to take my place was clear. Chapter 8 I continued to provoke Lily using both my main and secondary accounts. The secondary account flaunted Jack's transfers and flirtatious messages. The main account declared my ownership. Being a mistress has no good end. My husband has told me everything about you. You're just a clingy leech. He despises you. Even if we divorce, it won't be your turn. Lily screamed in frustration, wanting to kill both me and my secondary account. As soon as my voice message ended, Jack's phone rang. He glanced at me and sneakily went to the balcony to answer. Then he made an excuse about work and left. I knew he was going to placate Lily. Jack secretly transferred a lot of money to Lily. I immediately sued Lily to reclaim my property. I used my daughter and the secondary account to distract Jack. As her belly grew, Lily was increasingly neglected by Jack. Perhaps Lily had truly fallen for Jack's fake tenderness. One day, unable to bear it any longer, she stormed into Jack's workplace cafeteria, her pregnant belly showing, demanding he acknowledge their love. Forcing Jack to divorce me. Brother Way, you don't love that old woman. The child in my belly is yours. The cafeteria fell silent. Jack's face turned pale. He shouted that Lily was crazy. Holding my shoulder, he righteously declared, "This is my wife. Don't make baseless accusations. I have nothing to do with you. Don't slander me because I rejected you. My heart and soul belong to my wife. Security, come here. You're lying. You said you loved me in bed, that you wanted to kick her out. You even said if the baby is a boy." Lily shamelessly revealed their bedroom secrets. I coldly watched the farce. Lily's delusional thinking amused me. Because of her, Jack lost face in public. If it cost him his job, what good would come to Lily? Men are realistic and selfish. Shut up. Jack gritted his teeth at Lily. He grabbed her arm, trying to drag her away. Seeing my victorious look, Lily seemed to have given up. In their struggle, Jack accidentally kicked her belly. Both an ambulance and police car arrived. Lily had a miscarriage and was reportedly unlikely to conceive again. Jack was taken away by the police. He was investigated by the organization. I sent all the evidence of Jack's affair with Lily and my secondary account to the disciplinary committee. To completely ruin Jack, I anonymously reported his corruption and embezzlement, even without direct evidence. Although Jack had only been employed for 2 years, his position held some power. In my previous life, after Lily gave birth to their illegitimate son, Jack bought her the best apartment in the city center and a mid-range car. But his salary couldn't possibly cover that. The money he transferred to her likely came from dubious sources. Some people, fooled by Jack's persona, believed he was a victim of Lily's schemes, pitying him and insisting he wasn't the type to betray his wife. I used Mike to expose Jack's hypocrisy, posting surveillance videos of his double life in their workgroup chat. Jack's image as a loving husband and good person completely collapsed. He was fired, and if his corruption was proven, he would face prison. As Jack, now destitute, awaited his final judgment, my long-absent mother-in-law reappeared from the countryside. She barged into my home, pointing at me and loudly accusing, "My son should never have married you, you jinx. You couldn't even keep a man. My poor son." I wondered where she got the confidence and audacity to blame me. Shouldn't she be trying harder to keep me from divorcing her son? She was both stupid and evil. #Chapter 9 #. Looking at my mother-in-law's wrinkled, contorted face, I remembered my daughter only lived to be 4 in my previous life. Anger surged within me. To welcome their illegitimate son, they had taken my daughter to the beach, abandoning her when it was quiet. They watched from a distance as the little girl, frantically searching for her grandmother and father, disappeared into the sea. They pretended to be anxious, even delaying the police report by an hour. Initially, the police and I thought it was a tragic accident caused by negligence. But I noticed the strange behavior of these 2 beasts and discovered Jack's affair and illegitimate child. Piecing everything together, I concluded it was deliberate. They even wanted to drive me insane to inherit my parents' estate. Killing 3 birds with 1 stone. Even a tiger wouldn't eat its cubs, but they were utterly heartless. Unfortunately, I had no evidence to prove my daughter's accident was intentional. This time, Jack's career was ruined, and he was in prison. Only the old witch was left. "You old hag, your son was caught for corruption and infidelity. He deserved it. He's a scumbag, and as his mother, you're responsible for raising such trash. You bitch." The old woman could only curse me. "Oh, by the way, you're right. Your son's downfall was all my doing. I found out about his affair long ago. I collected the evidence and provoked the mistress. She had a miscarriage, and your precious grandson is gone. It's truly satisfying." I provoked the old woman until her face turned red. She glared at me, ready to fight to the death. But how could an elderly woman be a match for me, a young and fit person? She fell to the ground, cursing me with the vilest language. My daughter, awakened by the noise, started crying. The old woman suddenly stood up and rushed into the bedroom. My face changed, and I chased after her. She had pushed the nanny, who was bleeding from her forehead. The old woman, looking triumphant, was holding my daughter, threatening to throw her out the window. We lived on the 6th floor, with no safety bars installed. Bitch! You got my son imprisoned. I'll kill your daughter. The old woman glared at me viciously. I was terrified, begging her to let my daughter go. I'll give you all the money you want. My parents left me a lot. Just let the baby go. She's your granddaughter. I shouted. She's just a child. Can't we talk this out? Don't do anything rash. The nanny also tried to persuade her. None of your business. Get lost. Sister, think carefully. This child is your granddaughter. We can't do anything illegal. The old woman was momentarily distracted. I suddenly lunged forward and kicked the old woman. She toppled over, and in her scream, the nanny grabbed my daughter back. I looked at my daughter's tear-streaked face with relief and then glared at the old witch lying on the floor. Her leg was broken from my kick. She groaned in pain, still cursing, her hand reaching towards my daughter. I kicked her again, breaking her wrist. The old woman was taken away by the police. I made a point to visit Lily, who had lost her chance at motherhood, and informed her of Jack's trial date. She was no longer the glamorous woman she once was, now looking like a walking corpse. Jack confessed to me in the detention center. He doesn't want to divorce me. He said he never loved you. You were just a convenience. Hearing my words, her eyes flickered. On the day of Jack's trial, I attended the court session and witnessed a dramatic scene. Jack was sentenced and then died at the courthouse entrance. As soon as he left the courthouse, Lily, who had blended into the crowd, stabbed him 4 times, each strike hitting a vital spot. Upon hearing of Jack's death, I couldn't wait to inform my mother-in-law in the detention center. Her already small eyes widened to the size of saucers, muttering, "Impossible." I showed her Jack's death certificate. She let out a wail and fainted, rushed to the hospital for emergency treatment. Unfortunately, her wretched life was spared. But she had a stroke and was paralyzed. She would spend the rest of her life bedridden, unable to speak or move. I celebrated with friends for 3 days, using part of the marital assets Jack left behind to place her in the worst, cheapest nursing home. Justice was served. After that, I no longer cared about her fate. I took my daughter and our assets, moved to a new place, and started a new life.